What's up, Dragon Brood? I have to admit that this deck today is likely going to get me some hate. And I'm apologizing, but hey, I'm trying to do a variety of decks and be fair. So I would say don't hate the messenger, but I'm kind of the creator and the messenger, so I don't know if that really applies here. So if you could do me a favor, before we get into this deck and you get to see the rest of it, please be so kind as to hit that subscribe button. If you hadn't, hit the notification bell, because I'm putting out deck lists leading up to the release of Crimson Vow. And like I said, there's a whole variety of them. You should check out my other ones if you haven't. Also, let me say, please, it's actually really important, whether it's just my channel or somebody else's, when we're putting out this type of advanced content to try to get it out to a lot of people, that you please share it, like it, comment on it, do all those things, because these are likely to get a lot less views than the typical gameplay videos and whatever. But if you want this type of content to continue, you need to support your content creators to make sure this is getting out there and shared and they're getting views. Because I can tell you right now, just peek behind the curtain here personally, I'm going to take a financial hit to produce these decks for you, actually. As silly as that sounds, even with me putting out 2 and 3 of these a day, it has a lot to do with like views, length of video, ad revenue, blah blah, all that adds up to just making less money. So please do what you can to get as many eyes on these, whether it's mine or somebody else's or whatever, because it really helps out your content creators. Now, with that being said, let's go take a look at what Simic Ramp can look like with the new Crimson Vow cards. All right, well, I will start out saying this about the deck, that what I do like about this is I found a way to work in some underplayed cards as well as some hated cards. So I think between the two, we have a nice balance here. So starting at the top, we are going to play 3 Decisive Denial. This is a card that people have kind of gotten away from and forgot about. It's a blue and a colorless instant. It gives you 2 choices. You can either have target creature you control fight a creature you don't control, or you can have or counter target non-creature spell unless their controller pays 3. So good for stopping a lot of spells that are problematic in different situations, but also lets your creatures fight. Now, admittedly, we don't have a lot of creatures of size. We have a couple, and being able to fight is going to come in handy, but wanted to have just some versatile counters for the type of deck that we have. We are playing 4 Prosperous Innkeeper because, well, we're going to need to ramp, and it makes treasure, so that makes mana, right? So no surprise there. The life gain is going to be incidental here, but there are going to be a couple of scenarios where we can gain a bunch of life. We are trying one of the new cards out that happens to just be an uncommon, but it's Reclusive Taxidermist. It's a colorless and a green for 1/2. If you happen to have 4 or more creatures in your graveyard, then it gets +3/+2, which means it turns into a 4/4, which is great because it gives you a late game body to fight with, but it taps for 1 mana of any color. This is really nice to have, just super convenient, and it's on a 1/2 body, not a 1/1 like you normally get on, or usually get on these types of cards. So that's really nice too. We're playing 4 Root Coil Creeper, mostly because it adds a mana of any color. Unfortunately, we're not really doing much in this list with flashback stuff, so that's a little bit sad, but that's okay. We really just want the mana to be able to push forward in this one. We're trying out 2 copies of Quandrix Command. And I will say this, in this slot, if you don't want to play Quandrix Command, consider playing like 1 the Celestis and maybe 1 Emerith, the 5/5 dragon. I think either of those could work in these slots if you already own those, and maybe you don't own Quandrix Command, you don't want to go craft them. Those would probably be the 2 spots I would swap here. But Quandrix Command is a colorless, a green, and a blue instant. You choose 2. You can turn target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand, which is great when you're talking about creature tokens. You can counter target artifact or enchantment. Some of the new stuff we've seen, but again, also stuff like Eska's Chariot. You can put a +1/+1 on target creature, which is nice because you can do it to even your creature as a combat trick, which is awesome. And then target player shuffles up to 3 cards from their graveyard in their library. Likely only going to use this if you're going to turn off somebody's options from like a self-mill deck, or against Lear to shuffle in things that they won't be able to replay. Outside of those, actually that's not true. There's also some scenarios where maybe you would use it against the Is It Epiphany decks, because they do have the flashback copy a spell thing, So there's some scenarios where it actually works there too. But it's kind of just a flexible card I want to try out in the list. But again, there's 2 options you could swap it with. Then we're coming back to Scoot Swarm, another card that's only popped up here or there lately, but I feel like in a list where we're going to be able to just have a bunch of mana, we've got Wrenn and 7 going on, we want to gain some life with the Innkeeper, there's just some fun late game stuff we can do with this that I want to at least try out to take advantage of. So we're going to see, we're playing some Scoot Swarms, maybe it's no good, maybe it's great, we're going to find out. We're playing 3 Esca's Chariots because 4/4s that make 2 tokens are great. We know all about the Chariot. You're not really surprising anything there. We're playing 4 Quandrix Cultivator. This is a 4 mana, 3/4. When it comes into play, you get to search for a land and put it onto the battlefield. This just has good stuff going on. I mean, getting us to 5 mana so we can play some spells we're going to talk about here in a second. Also lets us trigger stuff on Scoot Swarm, which is neat. Gives us a bigger creature to fight with if we need something to use Decisive Denial with. So I actually like a lot of what the card's doing. You can also return it to your hand with Quandrix Command if you want to reuse it and just search for a land. That's an option too. So there's a few different things that this is allowed to do with the other cards that are in the list. But one of the reasons when it gets 5 mana is Wrenn and 7. Yeah, not a lot to say about this card at this point. If you don't know, go find out. 5 mana Planeswalker that mostly is going to be making a Tree Folk that has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control, or just searching more lands. Which is great, because when you're using it with Scoot Swarm, you can have a turn where you Wrenn and 7, get 2 or 3 lands in hand, and then play your Scoot Swarm, Wrenn and 7 for 0, put all those lands into play, make a whole bunch of Scoot Swarms, right? So that's another thing you could do. So I like having these kind of like odds and end little pieces here that you can put together that we haven't been doing in current standard. Now, yes, this list does have Alrund's Epiphany. And here's the thing. I thought about what are things we can play and things we can do other than just playing 4 of Epiphany in the deck, blah, 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 right? I'm bored of Epiphany, but the card's just good. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, what you want me to do. If a card's good, it's good. I can't leave it off the list. It is what it is. Take extra turns, make the birds. Y'all know the drill. There is another new card, though, and it's Hullbreaker Horror. 5 colorless, blue, so 7 mana for a 7/8 flash, can't be countered, and then whenever you play a spell, you choose up to 1. You return target spell you don't control to owner's hand, or you return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Now, this also makes cards like Decisive Denial, like Quandrix Command, better, because it gives us some instants we can play to maybe pseudo counter a spell, right? We can return it back to somebody's hand. We can also play a creature, bounce a creature, right? Like that's a thing we can do. Like there's a few different things we can do here. And again, it says target non-land permanent to its own hand. So it's not even just your opponent's stuff. So if you want to reuse Chariot, great, right? Make more blockers. You want to put a Cultivator back in your hand so you can trigger those Scoot Swarms again? Like, that's a thing you can do, right? There's a lot of things here that this could give us. Hell, honestly, you could return a Wrenn and 7 just to make another big token, right? That's a thing you could do. So Hullbreaker Horror can lead to a lot of things happening in this list. And we have tons of ways to get it into play. Lands, we're going to be playing 4 Bark Channel Pathway, 4 Dream Root Cascade, which is one of the new cards. We're playing 2 Hall of the Storm Giants. We're playing 3 Lair of the Hydra. We're finishing it out with 6 Forest and 4 Islands. So pretty expected mana base. We're not doing anything too surprising or crazy there, but just giving us everything we need to make stuff happen. Now, I will say, the reason we're playing the 12 mana creatures is we do want to be able to hit 4 and 5 mana very consistently, right? Being able to get 4 mana on turn 3 and 5 mana on turn 4 is going to allow your deck to really take off, really push ahead of things your opponents may be doing, and it's really, really nice. Honestly, you can even play a Wrenn and 7 on turn 3 in some cases, but it's not going to do a lot for you, as even if you make the Tree Folk, it's only going to be a 3/3, and that's so-so. But hey, if you're in a situation where it makes sense to do it, do it. And again, if you want to replace stuff with the Celestis and Imrith, go ahead and swap those Quandrix Command. I think that's totally reasonable. Just saying, there's a little bit of versatility you lose with the way the rest of the deck is built. Now, as always, if you want this deck list, it will be down in the description below. And remember, you can also get links to our Facebook gaming stream and our Twitch streams if you want to come by and work on decks live, Or if you just want to come by our Discord and come chit chat about the format or get help with your deck as we roll into the Crimson Vow season, you can get a link for our Discord down in the description as well. And I also want to point out that we do have memberships here on the channel, so if you want to support me and what I'm doing and the content and reward me for putting all this stuff out, that's one way you can do it, since I don't have a Patreon for the channel here. And finally, like I pointed out at the beginning of the video, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, retweet it, do all those things, because it really helps your content creators out when we're doing these types of special videos between seasons to really help everybody out, to really help us keep everything up, keep the views up, keep the revenue up, all that stuff, to keep motivated to doing this type of content. And even if not for this, just as a general word of advice, whenever you see your content creators putting out something you really enjoy that's not the norm, support it, talk about it, put it out there, retweet it, I don't know, put it on TikTok, on Instagram, what, maybe not go that crazy, but whatever. Help them get the word out, because that encourages your favorite creators to do more of the content you enjoy. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.